Just when I think I cannot be more disgusted with Donald Trump, this despicable display at Arlington National Cemetery, which of course now they're reporting there literally was a physical and verbal confrontation with an Arlington employee over this photo op he took with a thumbs up at a soldier's grave.
Well, of course, now we come to the McShouty part of it. God, and I did a Substack on it. I wrote a tweet yesterday. I'm telling you, Elon Musk throttles all of my tweets. I had a tweet that I put out yesterday saying, outlining what you said, and then I ended it with all caps. I really hate this guy. And it only got 400 likes out of like 20,000 views. And I mean, what used to get 50,000 likes out of me anymore, I get nothing. So now that I've digressed, let me recalibrate myself and say, I hate these guys. Yeah. And I mean, how dare you come to Arlington National Cemetery and make a photo op in Section 60, and they said to him, there is no photography, you cannot do political action, it is a federal law. A law on the books. Anyone else would have been put out. And he supposedly coordinated doing this visit. He's never visited there before. He didn't visit the last 2 years, the graves of those who were lost in Afghanistan. And somehow he is there honoring, and I think it's great that he wants to honor the 13 who lost their lives. But what about the other 4,500 who died in Afghanistan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He doesn't honor them. He literally stood on their graves. Yeah. I mean, what nerve? What nerve? Now, if you think there was a scene between his staff and the Arlington staff, if I had been present, oh, there definitely would have been a scene. For the honor of every person who lays in state in that hallowed ground, since we took it from Robert E. Lee, because that was his house, and turned it into a national cemetery, I would blade hand him right there on the stage. And I would tell them all to get out. And the families themselves, I know you're grieving, I know you're Gold Star families, but I see these people saying, well, Biden didn't show up, Kamala didn't show up, because they honor all of the loss.
Yeah.
Of the loss. From I'm sorry, not finished, from the Boston Massacre to whoever might pass in service today.
Yeah.
Right? Because we lose people every day to accidents and other things. Trump is a disgusting Papa Oscar Sierra. I mean, we are just not going to have this, and we all have to understand it can get worse if you don't turn out.
Yeah, Malcolm, I was saying, it's just so personal to me because my mom and my dad are now buried there. And I was saying, went through the ceremony in July, and I was saying that people that work there are so empathetic and dignified because they know that, as you say, this is hallowed ground. This is sacred ground. And I was telling the story that my sister's friend took some pictures and video, and I was very sensitive, didn't know anyone else was going to be there. And I asked her, please just send this to my sister. I don't want this public at all, but the fact that he's just doing that thumbs up in front of a grave, I can't. Anyway, I also use the word hate. I hate him, and I don't hate anyone. Oh, anyway, speaking of hallowed ground, you retweeted Jane, who said RFK Jr. might be an even sicker than Donald. I don't know which book this is from, but 1 week later, in the middle of the night, without telling Mary's siblings or obtaining the required legal permitting, Bobby Jr. had Mary's coffin dug up from the Kennedy family plot in Massachusetts and moved 700 feet away. When reporters found out and asked why, Bobby, through a family spokesperson, said he failed to realize how crowded the Kennedy family plot was. Mary was left to face traffic. No headstone marked her grave, buried alone. I mean...
Awful.
The utter disgrace of these people. Mm-hmm. They are disgraceful, and people, you need to start using these words. If you see them in public, you need to tell them they're disgraceful. I'm sorry. It is the time for playing high is over. It is time to enunciate and try to factor up some shit. John F. Kennedy, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is just a disgraceful man. Besides the fact that he apparently has a collection of heads of dead animals in his home, including that whale's head, which is disgraceful. But look, He drove. That was a Vanity Fair article, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He drove his wife to suicide by having a journal of how he was out there stooping 37 other women. Yep. That's why, and he drove her to despair in trying to want to keep him. And she, rather than finding herself and walking out that front door and setting fire to his car, which would have been more suitable than what she did, she passed away. She took her life in despair, and he further humiliated her in death. Yeah. And to me, that is insufferable. And you know what? We need to also use him as the platform to understand just how weird these people are.
Yeah.
That man is a weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah. And now Tulsi Gabbard has been called in, so I know.
This couldn't get more shoddy today.
I know. It's
you
just...
dug these up. You dug these up.
But I mean, this story today, Bobby Kennedy Jr. said to Tucker Carlson he's been asked to join Trump's transition team and help pick the administration officials in charge of running the government. Oh, dear Jesus. I mean, this lunatic. And do he and Tulsi get checks directly from Russia?
They must.
Or, I mean...
No, come on, it's Venmo.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, they're going to wire that stuff in because, these are some pay-to-play characters.
Yeah.
Just absolutely the weirdest collection of kooks and freaks. And I'm sorry to tell you, if you haven't subscribed to my Substack, this is the week to do it. $7. Here's why. I am about to terrify the ever-living out of you. Because there's a factor a lot of you haven't thought about that could happen within days or weeks of Trump's election. Mm-hmm. And there's another way that the Civil War is going to kick off. Another way that involves what happens when you start sending, and by the way, I just saw the head of the Heritage Foundation and another senator, a congressman, talking about rounding up 20 million people.
Yeah.
Like they're going to go silently into the boxcars in a nation with over a quarter of a billion rifles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, we have got to stop this. All of you are our only hope to stop this nation from descending into it.